So we will study Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan belonged to the Pushyabhuti dynasty that was also known as the Vardhana dynasty. हर्षवर्धन का राइज हुआ था गुप्ता एम्पायर के डाउनफॉल के बाद 6th century CE में. इन्होंने रूल किया बेसिकली इस डायनेस्टी ने नॉर्दर्न इंडिया में. और इनकी कैपिटल जो थी वो थानेश्वरा थी जो कि बाद में कन्नौज हो गई थी. मोस्ट नोटेबल रूलर जो हैं इसके वो हर्षवर्धन थे जो कि लास्ट रूलर थे इस डायनेस्टी के. इसको वर्धना डायनेस्टी भी कहते हैं. इसके जो फाउंडर थे वो पुष्यभूति थे एंड दे वर द फेड्यूटरीज ऑफ द गुप्तास एंड वर नोन एज वर्धन्स. ये इंडिपेंडेंट हो गए थे हुड इन्वेजन के बाद. उससे पहले ये फेड्यूटरीज थे. जो फर्स्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट रूलर थे वो थे प्रभाकर वर्धन. उनके जो बेटे थे उनका नाम था राज्यवर्धन. ही वॉज किल्ड बाय शशांक हु वॉज द रूलर ऑफ बंगाल. Therefore, Harshvardhan succeeded his brother and he became the next ruler. Prabhakar Vardhan. Prabhakar Vardhan was also known as Pratashila, is described by Bana as a proud man. Assumed the title Maharajadiraj, Lord of Great Kings. He has two sons, Rajyavardhan and Harshvardhan, and a daughter, Rajeshri. After his death, राजवर्धन बिकेम किंग. तो प्रभाकर वर्धन जो थे उन्होंने महाराजाधिराज का टाइटल एज्यूम किया. उनके दो सन्स थे राजवर्धन और हर्षवर्धन और उनकी डॉटर थी राजश्री. उनकी डेथ के बाद राजवर्धन किंग बने. सो द लेटर गुप्तास वर द ओल्ड एनिमीज ऑफ द मॉकरीज एंड दे हैव एलाइड विद गॉड एंड टुगेदर दे मार्च्ड अगेंस्ट कानिकुब्ज. And then they imprisoned Rajeshri. Who was Rajeshri? She was the sister of Harshvardhan. Devgupta then marched against Kanikabj and attacked and killed Grahavarman. Grahavarman was the one who was Rajeshri was married to him. Okay. Devgupta then occupied Kanikabj and they imprisoned Rajeshri. Rajvardhan marched with his army to defeat him and rescue his sister Rajeshri. He reached Kankubj and defeated the Malwa army route, possibly killing Devgupta. With the ridiculous ease, the Harshcharita states that Shashank, who was the ruler of Bengal, came to his aid, whose aid of Devgupta, and murdered Rajvardhan. Now we will study about Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan, now when he came to know about his brother's murder, he became very angry. And Shashank, who by then has occupied Kanikubj and declared war. So Harshvardhan marched with his army and concluded a treaty with King Bhaskar Varman. Harshvardhan attacked Shashank. He managed to rescue his sister and occupied Kanikubj. Now, some history of Harshvardhan. He was born in 590 AD at Thaneshwara. He was a Hindu who later embraced Mahayana Buddhism. He was married to Durgavati and he later moved his capital to Kannauj. हर्षवर्धन ने जो वल्लभी किंग थे गुजरात में उनको भी डिफीट कर दिया और उसके बाद एक एग्रीमेंट हुआ दोनों के बीच में. एंड हर्षवर्धन मैरिड हिज डॉटर with the son of the Vallabhi king. Harshvardhan's plans to conquer lands to the south, they were hampered by the Chalukya king who was Pulkeshin II, who defeated Harshvardhan. This sealed Harsha's southern territorial limit as the Narmada river. हर्षवर्धन के अंडर दो टाइप की टेरिटरीज थी. पहली वो जो कि उसने खुद डायरेक्टली कॉन्क्योर की थी, उसके अंडर थी डायरेक्टली. और जो दूसरी टाइप की थी वो बेसिकली वो थी हु वर हिज फेड्यूटरीज. फेड्यूटरीज वर अंडर टाइट कमांड ऑफ हर्षवर्धन. ह्यूम सांग विजिटेड इंडिया ड्यूरिंग हर्षास reign and he has given a very favorable account of King Harshvardhan and his empire. He praises his generosity and justice. Harshvardhan was a great patron of the arts. He himself was an accomplished writer. He is credited with the Sanskrit works that are Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Naganand. Banabhat was his court poet, and he composed the Harshcharita, which gives an account of Harshvardhan's life and deeds mainly about political and cultural. Banabhat wrote Kadambari, that is about the social structure of Harshvardhan's empire. Harshvardhan generously supported the Nalanda University. He had a good tax structure that was one fourth of all the taxes that were collected and that were used for charity and cultural purpose. Harshvardhan was a competent military conqueror and an able administrator too. He died in 647 AD after ruling for 41 years, and after his death, his empire came to an end. So, in summary, his rule was a model of wise and just leadership, emphasizing fairness, welfare, learning, and economic growth. Now we will discuss some questions that are often asked in the semester exam of AIH. Describe the cultural achievement of Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan is remembered not only for his political and military achievement, but his significant contribution to culture, art, literature, and religion. Promotion of literature and learning. Harshvardhan was a great patron of scholar and artist. He surrounded himself with some of the most renowned intellectuals and writers of his time. Famous scholars at his court were scholars like Chinese traveler Han Sang, the poet Banabhat, and historian Boj. Han Sang wrote about Harshvardhan's court and its cultural vibrancy. Literary contribution. Harshvardhan himself was a poet and a playwright, and he wrote 3 plays, Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Nagananda. Encouragement of religious tolerance and harmony. Peaceful coexistence of various faiths. Sponsored the 4th Buddhist Council at Kashmir. So Harshvardhan sponsored the 4th Buddhist Council at Kashmir. Art and architecture, if we talk about that, Harshvardhan sponsored various building projects including temples, monasteries, and public infrastructure. Harshvardhan helped in the development of both Hindu and Buddhist temples, promoting religious unity. And then sculptures and paintings. The period under Harshvardhan saw advances in sculptures and paintings, especially those that were related to Buddhist and Hindu traditions. Temples and monasteries were adorned with beautiful artwork and sculptures. Now, support for cultural exchange. The visit of the Chinese scholars like Xuanzang brought significant cultural exchange between China and India. Now, trade and interactions. Harshvardhan's empire had extensive trade relations which facilitated cultural exchange. Good ideas and knowledge flowed between the region. Sanskrit, the classical language, flourished during the Harshvardhan reign. Many writers and poets composed their work in Sanskrit, and Harshvardhan himself wrote his 3 plays in this language that were Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Nagananda. Harshvardhan reign was a period of cultural brilliance. He was a patron of literature, art, and religion, and his support for scholars, artists, and religious leaders fostered a thriving cultural environment. Social and cultural life. Diverse society with people of different language, religion, and custom living together. Peaceful coexistence. Caste system was present and played a significant role in people's life. Education and learning. There were many schools, monasteries, and universities in India. He was particularly impressed by Nalanda University. That was a prominent center of learning. It was a symbol of India's intellectual richness. Diverse society, different religion coexist, caste system exists, cities and villages have their own culture and ways of life, but people were generally peaceful and cooperative. Education and learning. Education was very important. Nalanda University was a major center for learning where students studied subjects like Buddhism, science. Buddhist monasteries were also places of education. Political and economic life, the empire, especially under King Harshvardhan, was stable and prosperous. Harshvardhan was generous and he worked to improve the life of people by organizing charity events. The economy was strong with trade, agriculture, and craftsmanship, supporting people's livelihood. There were law and order, and the king's role was to maintain peace and protect his people. Daily life, people ate rice, lentils, and vegetables, whereas rich people eat meat and fruits. Clothing was simple, it was made of cotton and they wore ornaments. Wealthy people wore ornaments, especially. Hygiene was important in the life of both villages and people of urban areas. Art and architecture. Temples and monasteries were grand with beautiful sculptures and artwork. Hindu and Buddhist temples were places of worship.